Welcome. My name is Garth Sundberg, Chairman Trinidad Rancheria and Chairman of the Northern California Tribal Chairpersons Association. Thank you for taking the time to participate in the virtual 2020 Native American celebration. The theme this year is Healing the Nations, Protecting Elders, Women, and Children. I would like to introduce the Karuk Tribal Chairman, Buster Atterbury, to provide a blessing.
Shimini pakudi wi adada pakudi.
Karubi, Karubi, Vitana no Ido, Karubi, Karubi, Vitana no Ido. Hey, Karuba, Takune Taiwanani, Karuba, Takune Taiwanani, Karubi, Vitana no Ido, Karubi, Karubi, no ino. Hey, Karuma, Takune Taiwanani, Karuma, Takune Taiwanani, Karubi, Letana no ino. Oh, on the way.
Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, Hano, hey yo, hey yo, hey no, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, no, hey. Hey, oh, 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 hey, no, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, no, hey, oh, hey, no, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey,
Old Rohnerville is very small. It's about 15 acres wide. A lot of the people that are members of the tribe do not even know who Rohnerville is, where it is. Rohnerville Rancheria, which is the basis of this tribe here. We were not recognized for years and years and years.
Yeah, when I started here 19 years ago, it was a trailer and a few houses. And we were only on one side of the road.
I grew up across the street before the casino was there, before the hotel was there, before Bear River had anything.
We only started with 60 acres over here. That was the first one, and then it kind of developed all over the place. The trials of just getting us to this point was long and hard.
Our tribe's come a long ways. We were a pretty poor tribe. We were a small tribe. We're very large now. We probably have about 600 tribal members now, and half of them are children. Culturally, they need to learn how they're connected with each other and how we're all from here, and that we can be a good people together.
Learning about their culture is really super important because it puts us where we kind of belong, you know, and not just hearing that drum, but making songs and letting that be in our hearts.
When I was growing up, I knew I was Native American, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know my culture. I didn't know any of that. And so I think that's really important for the youth to learn is like who they are. So that way when they grow up, they're not wondering who they are, where they belong in the world. Teachers and educators and administrators, and their biggest thing was that they didn't have accurate materials to teach. And they didn't have anything on most local tribes here because it's just not out there.
As of late, we've been going through some hardships. We've lost a lot of our elders. We really have, and it's really been very difficult.
Traditionally, we've been oral storytellers. You know, there's never been the written document. It's been the oral traditions passed down from generation to generation. If we can get stuff on that, actually get people to speak on that, it's another thing for the oral traditions to be passed down for the kids, that if the elders pass on, or myself, that we pass that on to our youth, and that way it can never die.
So we applied for an ILMLS grant to go into local school libraries and replace them with accurate materials by actual Native authors. And then it kind of snowballed into this giant project to capture the real story of Bear River and letting the people tell it. With the Oculus, it kind of just went together. So we kind of put the two ideas together of telling Bear River's story and using it to be taught in schools.
Going through rural Native communities, you know what I'm saying, and helping them tell their tale is, you know, it's extremely exciting to me. And, you know, film and the modern age of digital technology that we're in is just ideal for preserving things.
We lost our fishing and hunting rights as a small tribe. We're not connected to the river at all. That's where I learned how to eel. It was the best time of my life. But the kids never learned how to clean eels and how to smoke them, how to hang them, and that's an art all itself. People don't really realize how much history they have in back of them. Not all of it's good, but they have to learn from that. Know their history from where they came from. Don't forget who they are.
This song has been sung by the people of the Tolowa Tribe of Northern California for hundreds of years. But like many tribal languages in the Pacific Northwest, it's in crisis. With only a handful of fluent speakers left, the Tolowa language, Dee-ni-Nation, is endangered. Will Tolowa go the way of other tribal languages and become extinct? Some Tolowans were determined that wouldn't happen.
My name is Cheryl Steinrock. I'm a member of the Smith River Rancheria, and I work in the Culture Department, Language Department.
Cheryl's mother, Eunice Bomlin, and fellow tribal members were the first to take action, first to document and preserve the language. With the assistance of a linguist from Humboldt University, they began recording the language every Wednesday evening at the local high school with community elders.
With all the recordings that we had done in that Wednesday class for years, they were able to compile these dictionaries. They're full of information all the way from topics of villages, ancestors' names, stories, songs, prayers. The dictionary that we are using currently is the one that Lauren Metlashne had done in 2006. So this is like a reference manual. Anyone who ever wanted to learn Dee-ni-Nation, if you studied this book, you would know. It talks about the grammar, talks about spelling, talks about sounds, phonology, everything in here.
The dictionary ensured that vital cultural knowledge was preserved, but the Tolowa people wanted to go further. They wanted to bring the language back to life, to revitalize it. Two people who are fluent in Dee-ni-Nation are Lauren Metlashne, who wrote the dictionary, and his son, Piowa, who is a PhD student at the University of Oregon.
I do.
Oh.
Don't you tasting
Do tasting.
Like if you're not using the language, you're not speaking the language, if you're just talking about the language, you're not going to learn it if you just talk about it.
If you want to revitalize the language, it needs to be usable by people in their everyday lives, but you don't have all of the words for everything that people would want to talk about in their everyday lives.
I, at home, have become more of a crusader saying we've got to create vocabulary. Period. You know, and our language has the tools to do it.
Well, I mean, even before you started learning language, they came up with like phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, metnatra, in it someone talks. So like now we have lot metnatra, which is a hand
phone, which is a cell phone, right?
Yeah.
The development and introduction of new vocabulary, cell phone, email, iPod, is not always well received by traditionalists, those who would prefer to maintain the language in its original form.
We only have one word in English called love, basically. But we know the difference between loving your girl versus your child somehow. See, that's the culture of the language. But in our language, you have to say "gonshran" versus "yulte." When you want your girlfriend, it's "yulte," and you want to love your child, it's "gonshran." So there's two different verbs for it, and that's, again, the mind of the language.
The next step was to teach the younger generation. They wanted the children to use Dee-ni-Nation.
My mom, Eunice Ballman, was a visionary, and she sat down with her nieces and sisters at that time and said, we need to start teaching these kids. We need to start letting them know things or it's going to be lost.
I want my kids to know the language. I don't want them to like have it be a choice. I want it just to be who they are.
At the Head Start preschool, the Tolowa community utilizes a teaching method known as accelerated second language acquisition to educate their students.
Delaha. Delaha. So today we are going to learn Tolowa. It builds that confidence level where you're not worrying so much about the sound you're making or whether you're saying it right. That kind of all goes away. It kind of melts. One of the concepts we came up with here at our department is to take some of the children's stories and translate them into Dee-ni-Nation.
Chitechli trelat. Chitri yulyams. Dan yansjas. Mene. Dain nasta. Mene. Dain chutstump. Mene.
You know, the connection between culture and all that for me personally, I got that a long time ago when I was a kid. How important it is to know the language, how integrated it is in the culture and the history, how all those things are layered together and woven together, and there's no separation.
I mean, there's always hope in the kids, right? The next generation. And as long as we keep working hard and leave something for them to work with, and you know, there's always hope.
You know, supporting the military has always been a highlight of my life. Hi, I'm Wayne Newton. I have the privilege of representing the American Indian and Alaska Native Veterans Committee in constructing the first Indian Veterans Memorial at a national cemetery, honoring over 200 years of patriotic service by America's Native veterans. More information at aianveteransmemorial.com.
Volunteered in greater numbers than this country's ever known. But the freedom that they fought for wasn't theirs when they got home. They lie in humble graves, they go unrecognized. It's time to let the whole world know how much they sacrificed. The American Indian veteran answered the call of the brave to defend the very land that the white man had taken away. So tell me, why is there never been a monument to honor them, the American Indian veteran? I have a vision of a piece of sacred ground for those lost in battle where heavenly peace is found. Bodies given to the earth, their spirit to the sky, where 14 eagles spread their mighty wings and fly. Tell me, why has there never been a monument to honor them, the American Indian veteran? I see a statue of a warrior in winter wind and summer rain, standing vigil over all our heroes' names. A bronze face of courage, a feather in his hair, oh, glory on his shoulders, on his lips a silent prayer for the American Indian veteran. Answered the call of the brave to defend the very land that the white man had taken away. So tell me, why has there never been a monument to American Indian veteran. The American Indian veteran.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dale Miller. I'm the tribal chairman at Elk Valley Rancheria, also a member of the executive board of CTCA, which is California Tribal Chairmen's Association, California Nations Indian Gaming Association, and I also serve on the governor's panel for Tribal Nations Gaming Fund. I am very happy to be able to address you today about the law enforcement issues in the state of California. My background actually is law enforcement. I was a police officer and also a deputy sheriff and a detective, and finally a federal law enforcement officer. So I've been kind of handed this to address the issues that are going on in California from my perspective. As you all know, Public Law 280 gives state law enforcement the ability to enforce criminal laws on our reservations. So today, the census for California reports over 600,000 American Indian and Alaska Natives, and that's more than any other state. There are currently 109 federally recognized tribes here in California, and approximately 550,000 acres of tribal trust land and allotments. So we are big, if not the biggest in the country, and we certainly have good law enforcement of our own in some tribes that can afford it, but in others we're not able to do that. I know where I'm from in Elk Valley, we're right up on the urban border, and you know, a rural area, and we're small, and we certainly don't have the ability to pay for our own law enforcement department. Public Law 280 transferred criminal jurisdiction to California, and this created not only a headache for tribes, but also created a headache for state law enforcement. There was certainly a lot of confusion over scope of jurisdiction, the role of tribal sovereignty, civil regulatory versus criminal jurisdiction, lacks of taxing authorities, and because of these questions, Public Law 280 has impacted Indian criminal justice negatively. Yes, there are some areas that you tribes are able to communicate and work with local law enforcement, but California as a whole, it is an issue. I hope to be able to bring this up before California Tribal Chairs Association. I hope that the tribes, all the tribes in California, become members of that association, because they will have the ear of the legislature and various officials within the state of California, and even at the federal level. So I think that's important. Let's all get together and let's do this together. I foresee someday down the road California tribes having their own Department of Justice with officers and special agents that would be able to come out to each reservation and assist them. We do have an opioid problem. We do have a problem with our women being treated wrong and murdered, and we need to see to it that we're able to take care of that and protect our people. So thank you all. I hope this helps a little bit. There's, of course, a lot more information about this. Stay healthy, and hopefully the fires don't get into your area. Thank you.
census asks, what is person one's race?
This question is so bland. It is more than just a question.
It is our identity. It is who we are.
I am human.
I am Nakota.
I am Hoopa.
I am Dene.
I am Dry Creek Como.
And I am A'ani. For me to identify as Native on the census, it means I am being recognized for who I am.
Being Native is an important part of who I am.
It is telling them that I am here. When we all check that box, it's us collectively shouting.
We are here.
We are here.
We are here.
It allows us to be recognized, but it does not define who we are.
Rather, it is a platform to tell the world my story.
It is saying that when I dance, when I weave, and when I breathe, it is with and for my people, because we still stand, and we stand together.
We are the next generation.
I am a California Native youth, and I count.
I am a California Native youth, and I count.
I am a California Native youth, and I count.
Is this thing on? Auntie Beachress here! Gee, your auntie's just honored to be asked to do this. I'm really thankful for all the people who organized and put this virtual conference together. Give them a round of applause. Gee, this is good. Your auntie was just happy to get hired. I've just been eating bologna sandwiches over and over. Gee, your auntie's just ready to have some prime rib, ready to have some steak. So this is really gonna help your auntie. Gee, Auntie Beachress has been waiting to have a nice little gig. And you guys are giving your auntie some kind of income during this pandemic, during this time of wearing. Good thing we didn't have to go and have it face to face because we'd all be wearing masks. And I really can't breathe when I'm in a mask. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I always have to make sure that I brush my teeth because otherwise I could smell my own breath. And I'm underneath that mask and I'm gagging like that. And I'm underneath it and I'm like, and I can't blame it on anybody else but myself. Gee, your auntie's just sitting under there. Just smells like, oh, it just smells like a dead deer or something, or a rotten tooth. And you know, Indian Health Services, they're too long of a line, so I can't go in there. I can't go in there and get seen right away. So your auntie can't go to the IHS. I can't go nowhere, especially in this pandemic time. My family says, stay home, Beachress. So gee, I just have to stay home. I don't have a choice. I'm like a prisoner here. And on top of it, you know what? I'm on probation. So your auntie has no choice. They make me check in with them all the time. And then they're always calling and trying to ask my whereabouts and who I'm with. I said, none of your business. And they said, well, you want to go back to jail? I said, well, I'm with my cousin Jerry and I'm with my friend Crystal. I don't really like Crystal. They said, we don't need to know the details. I said, well, this is who I'm with. I'm with Krista, and she's good now. She's on tribal council. I mean, she still lies like she does, but she's off the streets, I told him. Yeah, so Auntie's used to checking in. But again, I'm getting off topic. Wopila Tonka, thank you for inviting your Auntie Beachress to this conference. They said it's about healing, it's about protecting the women and children. And your auntie has messages for you. You men, you need to be protecting these women. If you see a woman that's in danger, go help her. And I don't mean just any woman. I mean in your immediate family. That's what we take care of first, is that circle. Who's your cousins? Who's your sisters? Who's your aunties? Who's your grandmas? These are the questions that, you know, An older woman like me would be telling you, but we're not related. Ask your uncle. Anyway, yeah, you have to know who your relatives are. That's why some of you end up snagging your relatives. You need to be asking. You need to be asking the elders, the aunties, the uncles, who am I related to? That's your responsibility to be. Go ask. Go ask. Go have some coffee. Go take some donuts over to your relative's house. And you make sure you write those last names down too. Because you just never know. You never know until you know Sunday morning and they said that was your cousin. Then you feel like, like that. So you don't want that to happen. And so it's important that you go and ask, who are my relatives? And then that way you know, who do I watch out for? Who am I responsible as the male of this family? Whether you're a little brother or you're younger, it's your task and your duty to watch over the women and the children. And I'm talking to all of the men that hear this. It's your responsibility to take care of these women. Go help these elders drop off groceries. They don't have to be related to you either. You can do that from the goodness of your heart. It's about taking, you know what? Too many times our elders are neglected, our children are neglected, and we need to take care of them by doing little as we can. Little or a lot. You know, it all matters the same. And so I want you to make sure that if you have canned goods at your house and you're not using them, take them down to the road to that grandma down there. Gee, she would really appreciate that. You never know whose heart you're going to touch and who's, you know what, that it's going to be good medicine when you go and take food. You have bottled water, you have a little bit, and you feel like, we're not using this, I want to gift this to someone. Then go drop it off. Ask around, you know. You never know. Some people, they have their grandkids, they have a bunch of kids over there. And especially because everyone's homeschooling in this pandemic, it's important that they need extra food and water. And you know what? That'll be good if you go in. No matter if you're a male here, you're a female, it's important to take care of each other. All of the women and the children. You make sure, if you see a little kid walking around Indian way, come here. Let me wipe those boogers out of your nose like that. That's the same way we take care of everybody. It doesn't matter if that wasn't your kid. You call that kid over. It takes a village to raise these kids, and we all need to band together again. If this pandemic is teaching us anything, and this COVID is teaching us how to come together as a native nation again. And even in your little community there, whether you're in a big city or you're in you're on the res, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. Find your community of people and take care of each other. It's about rebuilding our home fires in this time. A lot of your home fires were flickering. They were almost had smoke on them and they were going out. But you know what, the positive things about this pandemic and the healing things about it is a lot of people are taking time to put into their home fire, figure out how to restack that wood. And what I mean by that is we're getting to know our family members. You know, some of us, we worked all the time. We flew over here, we flew over there. We were busy all day, every day. And we had this much time for our kids, and now we have this much. And not only, it's going to be very beneficial for our kids. And I know it's not easy because we're having to learn how to communicate, our feelings. You have to feel to heal. Hear me. You have to feel those feelings in order to heal. You can't avoid them. You can run away from them. Oh, I don't want to feel frustrated. You could run over here. You could do this. But pretty soon you're going to have to sit down in those emotions and feel them. And once you feel them, whether you cry or you're frustrated or you're confused, whatever the feelings is, and you ask yourself real deep down inside, what's really going on with me? Is it because the kids are running all over, or is it because I don't know how to handle this? And usually I'm working a 9-to-5 job, but right now this pandemic has affected my income, and now I'm here and I don't know how to handle my own kids in my house and they're driving me wild. Take a little bit of a time out, write things down, smudge before you, because you know what? We're used to this. We're either angry or we're happy, nothing in between. And those filler feelings could be confused, nervous, anxious, uncomfortable, all of that. You have to question yourself, what am I feeling? And that is the true path to healing. You have to be able to feel, because we can stack it up. Oh, I should have said this. Oh, that's like a book getting stacked here on your shelf, right here in your stomach. Oh, I did this for somebody. I didn't want to do it. You didn't use your voice. Oh, put that other book right there. Oh, this person was mean to me, but I'm going to pretend like I like them. Oh, putting it here. Pretty soon those books are all stacked up, all the way up to here, almost making you want to vomit. And then pretty soon you're thinking, oh, something's going on with me right now. And you're asking yourself, geez, I don't like the way that person's hollering. Then it takes you all the way back. Not to that moment right there reminded you when you were 8 years old and you would get hollered at if you didn't do something right. And you kind of jump and you lose your breath and you feel anxious, which feels like anxiety, but it's really pulling you back to that old memory. And that old memory is here in your ear saying, it's time to deal with me. And we say, no, I need to go for a run. I need to go shopping. I want this. I want this. I want this. Retail therapy. Or I wanna take it out on someone. Get away from me. Go over there. Or we're getting road rage. Hurry up. Get out of the way. We're dealing with it in these negative ways where we don't know what we're trying to grab, what we're trying to do. We're really trying to grab onto anything because we're falling into these feelings. No matter if we want to or not, they're here. And when they're here, it's time to deal with them. And then you're coming all over, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and then it brings you back to when you're 8 and when you're getting hollered at. Gee, nobody likes to be hollered at. Everybody comes with their own trauma though, and we all have to find the root of those problems. And when you are 8 is right here, and it's time to listen to your inner child and to start that healing, to unzip your body here and open up to your spirit. That's what it's time to do right now. And that's the kind of deep work that we have to do, is really listen to ourselves and ask ourselves, what's going on with me right now? What can I control and what can't I control? Because a lot of times I don't like that. I don't like the way they're living. I don't like the way they talk to me. But what you can control is affirming yourself. I am strong. Whatever feelings that they have towards me, that's their problem. To push them, even if you have to do this with your hands, the power of your breath. Not when you have morning breath in the morning and you have real rank breath, but the power of our breath is also a symbolism. If you feel when you're talking, you can feel your breath on your hand. It's also a part of feeling your spirit. We can't see our spirit because we're wearing this on the outside. This is borrowed, all of this. And so we have to remember that we still have to serve inside, which is our spirit. And when we're digging deep internally into all of our things that bothered us and we just tucked them away and we said, I'm not going to deal with that, they start coming back. Whenever you're in this safe place, whenever you're feeling good, whenever you're feeling strong, wherever that safe place may be, that secure place in your life, and you're there and things start to come up. Those books start to come up right here, and pretty soon you're saying, oh, I remember this time. I remember when my cousin punched me in the arm when we were little because I wouldn't give him a drink of my water or something like that. And then right here, you just kind of hit. You do this, and then you put your hand, you kind of get out those old memories and you ask your body and your spirit, whatever that memory was, I just ask that you help that muscle memory, you help me heal internally from that. I didn't deserve to be hit, and you release it with your power of your breath. You feel anyone trying to be some kind of way to you and you're happy. Oh, geez, I'm having a good day. Oh, happy day. Like that. Whenever you're just, you've been there where you're just happy. You're real happy. Then somebody comes in. What are you so happy about? Nah, trying to be all happy. Well, yeah. Think you're all funny, huh? Then you look at them and you say, I'm not going to deal with this. That's all you need, you guys. There's one phrase. I'm not going to deal with this. Walk away and go release yourself of that. Wipe yourself off. All of this is energy. We release it. Do this. Wipe your hair off. Use that smudge. That's what's good about smudge is whether it's sage or sweet cedar or sweetgrass, or any kind of root that you have, fungus, whatever it is, you make sure that you thank that medicine or whatever plant that is, you thank it before you're using it. And that's how we smudge, with intention and purpose. Because I think a lot of times in this world, we're in an ant farm, we're all following each other like this, or we're doing this, but when it comes to these ways about being Indian and spiritual, we take that sage and we thank it. And especially when you're pulling it, you don't pull out the root. You leave it. You put some tobacco there. You offer that tobacco. You don't just take, but you never give. Gee, if your grandma didn't teach you, then I guess I will. Well, you take some of that tobacco and you pray with it. You say a prayer for all of that sage and thank that sage for being medicine. And then you put that tobacco down and it's an offering. And then you take it you cut it above the ground. Don't be ripping it out. Gee, shame on you. Don't be doing that. If you didn't know that, now you know. I don't want to hear no excuses. And to everyone, each one, teach one. So anything I'm sharing here, you go and you take that and you teach someone. You don't just keep it for yourself and this is how you do it. Oh, this one over here don't even know how to do that. All of these teachings are for everyone. And I want you to take them and distribute them in a good way. And don't be trying to be above anyone because you know more. That's not the Indian way of thinking. We've always been caring, loving people. That's a part of us. And in these ways of healing, we treat each other good. We love each other. Sure, we're going to get upset and have disagreements and arguments. With every one of our relationships, there's going to be just, sometimes you'll hit heads, but you'll have to come together and realize whether you agree to disagree or you figure out how to compromise and flow together again. You can't it's always a problem, and together you face it, not you and whoever it is, your mom, your dad, your sister, your uncle, your auntie, whoever it is you have a relationship with, your partner. You don't just come like this to the problem. You stand by each other and figure out how you're going to work against that problem. Gee, some of us, we just fight, and then we think that's a solution. No, that's far from the solution. You're actually, that's the harder way around. And I know some of you like to take the hard way. Your auntie is like that too. I'm crazy. But you know what? I have some information to give. That's why they asked your auntie to come on here, to be able to talk here at this conference. And I'm grateful for that. I'll be able to get myself a couple of smokes and maybe a new pair of shoes. Because, gee, look at these shoes. I walked many miles. Ooh, auntie's ready for a maybe somebody will do some beadwork on there for your auntie. Yeah. See? that's gonna be good when I get this check. You know, that's the only thing about these virtual shows is you kind of gotta wait for the mailman. Just wait by the, you know, by the door. If you get your mail delivered to your house, you're just waiting. And so you're looking, I should be getting a check. I should be getting a check. Maybe that's my check. And you look and you, oh, bills. Yeah. Gee. Gee. Remember when you're excited when you're little to get mail? Then you realize when you get older, they become bills. Yeah. Then you don't even want to check the mail. But I'll be looking forward to this. I'm really thankful. Your Auntie Beachress likes to visit. Yeah, come over to my house, drink some coffee with me, tell you a whole bunch of stories. Your auntie has story after story. Gee, I'm crazy. Did you know that? Your auntie is crazy. That's why everyone likes your auntie, because I live life on the edge. And I don't advise everyone to do that. Gee, many times I almost fell off the edge, but you know what? I caught myself and I came back. That's why I'm still here right now. You're wondering how I'm here. She's in and out of jail. Ah, yeah, she's crazy. Ah, yeah. Gee, but she just shares her life experiences and she says, don't be like Auntie, be better than Auntie. That's why we like her, because she speaks the truth. Not a lot of people speak the truth. Not even people on the tribal council. They're all the same, all the way across Turtle Island. Those council members are the same. Chiefs, presidents, all of them. They tell you one thing and they do the other. I was like, gee, I would be perfect for tribal council. Get me on there. But anyway, like I was saying, it's important when you're smudging to smudge with purpose. And you say, what does that mean? Instead of just doing the motions, when somebody brings it for you, as you're doing the motions, I want you to think in your head good thoughts. You want good things for yourself. You want protection over yourself. You want good energy to come for you, or be around you. Those are the things you do. You don't just, okay, good, all of it's gone now. No, nothing bad is over. You have work to do too. You meet 50-50. That medicine they bring to you, you thank it. You speak to it, because that medicine has a spirit too. And if that's hard for you to understand, you have a little bit more learning to do, my girl. It's about being indigenous and Indian and having understanding about all of these medicines and these teas and everything, you know? Healing is about understanding your surroundings too. Madakiowasen in my language. You know what that means? All my relations. That doesn't just mean go ask your relatives, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, who you're related to. Ask those older people in your family. You know what it means? Madakiowasen, it means all my relatives, but it means more than that. We're not just related to who's on our family tree or who we adopted as relatives. We're related to these animals. We're related to all of that plant nation, the bird nation, the four-legged, and then we're just a part of it too. Too many times, us two-leggeds, us humans, we feel very entitled, like this is ours. We're very selfish in that way. And it's important for us to get up, to pray, to thank all of the elements, the wind, the sun, Lala Ampawi, the sun, Unchihawi, the moon. These are very flexible translations in my language, because you know what? Our languages are beautiful. Every little piece that you learn, use. Because when you're speaking your indigenous language, whether you say, that's my second language, it's in your blood, it's in your DNA. When you speak that, sometimes you'll feel it right here and you'll almost feel emotional, like crying. And what that means is you have connection. That language is connection to your ancestors, your grandmothers and grandfathers before you. This language that I'm speaking is second to all of us. All of us were here, and I mean that. Whether your great-great-grandma was here, that's why you're here. Is because your great-great-grandma or your great-great-grandpa were here speaking your language, your indigenous language. And it's important for you to speak what you know, ask around, how do I say this, how do I say that? It's all of our own responsibilities to learn this language. Okay, back to what I was saying about paying attention to Medaki Owase, all of our relatives. When you make sure you're greeting Lala Ampawi, the sun, Unchi Hawi, the moon, Kate, the wind, Unchi Maka, Mother Earth, Wakantuya, Wichakpi Oyate, the Star Nation. You make sure you're greeting, acknowledging the thunders even. We make sure that we're acknowledging all of the other elements and all the animals and all the birds and everything when you're praying. Remember to do that. List your relatives on the other side. Make sure you put out a little bit of spirit dish for them. And if you're saying, what's a spirit dish, Auntie? It's a little bit of food, whatever you're eating, not out of your mouth, but whatever you cooked, put a little bit, a pinch of each with a little tobacco and offer that to the spirits. Whether you choose to pick that up in the morning and bring it back and put out something new, that's your choice. If any of the animals eat it, that's okay too. I just want to explain that because sometimes things aren't explained and maybe you didn't have anyone to teach you, and it's important for Auntie Beachress to be teaching you what I have been taught. Like I said, none of these teachings are mine to keep, are my own to just hoard and say, I know it all. And if you don't know, gee, nobody taught you. It's important for your auntie to teach what I know. And you know what? When you put that spirit dish out and you're thinking, a lot of people ask your auntie, well, how are those spirits gonna get that spirit dish if they're spirits? How are they gonna eat it? It's about the energy that's put into that food. When you're cooking and they say cook with love, cook with purpose, cook with intention, that's what you're putting into that food that you put out. And that also thanking that animal that was a part of that food that sacrificed its life, those plants, all of them have spirits. And when we put that, that's what they call it, spirit food. And when we put that out, our relatives appreciate that. When their names are called and they're on the other side, they light up. And that feels good to be remembered on the other side. Every culture has their different ways of doing this. But this is just one of many teachings that your auntie has, that it could be a part of your healing journey. Yeah, your auntie is crazy, but I know a few things. You ask your auntie, if I know, I'll tell you. But if I don't know, then, yeah, I don't know. Then I'll just say, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'll say that. But I just wanted to encourage everyone. If you have teachings or if somebody shared something with you, and also there's protocols for those kind of things. When you want to know something, you go to your aunties or your grandmas, or maybe you know someone across the street that holds a lot of traditional knowledge or knowledge that you are seeking. You take some tobacco over there and you ask them and you offer it. Or maybe you don't have tobacco. Maybe you have some homemade bread. Or maybe you have some supper that you made. You bring over an offering, and when you bring that offering, that relative, whether they choose to take it or not, if they take it, that means they will share with you what they know. And you know what? All of us hold this knowledge. We're all knowledge keepers. And it's important for us to share what we have with everybody, because we're an oral teaching culture. That's why we're so good at storytelling. And a lot of you're good at storytelling. You go off subject and we don't know where you're taking us, and pretty soon you're back on that story again. That's what makes us such a strong, resilient, powerful
Indian, Native, Indigenous people is that our culture is still alive and we can all understand each other. We respect each other. Whether it's tribal teachings or culture, we all respect each other and we share teachings. Remember that even though we're different tribes, that there's no division. When I look at you, you're my brother or you're my sister. We have to bring that back because we allowed having tribes to divide us. That we're a part of this tribe, you're with them. We have to remember, hey, you know how to grow corn? We know how to, we have this sage here. Do you want to trade? Yes. Okay, let's trade. You know, that's what we're about, is sharing what we have. That's an example of trading, because we used to do that a lot. And sometimes, some of you still do, whether you can quill or bead or sew or make bustles or maybe you know how to dry meat. We trade with everyone, and we trade that with our oral knowledge and traditions also. This can be a very, very, very effective for all of your healing journeys. I want you to remember that the key to your spirit is knowing your culture, your language. It's your responsibility to go out and seek elders, or maybe somebody who is raised by a grandma and grandpa. They hold a lot of knowledge too. Or ask if you don't. I know it's hard, especially when we're adults. When we're grown adults, we feel superior sometimes, and we have to be humbled. We don't know everything. Say that. When people get on the microphone, those elders, and they're talking and they say, I'm pitiful, they mean that. They excuse themselves before elders and everyone in there and creator, and they say, I'm pitiful. And what that means is that none of us know everything. We're all still learning. And if you know everything, you put your hands down, you have it all together. You know everything, every part of the culture, language, you know everything in this modern society. But that's not the truth. Nobody does, but there is people who feel that they do, and they feel they have their hands tucked underneath their bum, and they have their nose up, and they know everything. And that's ego. That's ego before spirit. And so you got to take our hands out, and we got to put them up, and we have to be willing and open to learn. Because if you're like this, you can't learn nothing. And if you're talking all the time and you're just, I know already. I know. I already heard that. You never know. You might learn something new. So if you close this and open these, a lot can start unfolding and flourishing for you in your healing journey. And remember, if you look at your parents or whoever raised you and look at them and their patterns, it's your responsibility. If they're unhealthy patterns, it's your responsibility as an adult to change those patterns. You remember that. I don't want you blaming, shaming. Turn that finger around and look within. Now that you're an adult, it's your responsibility to heal. That's what it's about. Oha, Doksha Kewa Chianka Pikte, Auntie Beachress is out.